Alright, so Wrexham. I haven't posted in a while because of, especially in the Premier League because we were doing so bad. It was like, I don't want to. Of course, I was still going to the games and watching the away games, but they just wasn't really meant for me to post about, oh yeah, I reckon we're going to lose again. We just got a bit repetitive. So that's why. And second reason is I've been doing a lot of cricket stuff and in general, but now we're back on this channel. And a lot of stuff has happened since I've last posted. So even George came in, even George got sacked. Simon Ross came back in, after we got a point against Man City to get 12 points, which made sure we didn't get the record. But realistically, there was nothing to write about. But there is something exciting, I believe. Well, something that I believe will be exciting, and that is the appointment of a new manager. Still, I believe that it was probably the best option available. Like, of course, there would have been better options. Maybe you could say, there could have been arguments for other managers, even like Frank Lampard, but I personally would have rather still all the candidates. That's including Daniel Rowe, in my opinion. I think what he's succeeded. I know it's abroad, but I think he overachieved at every club, and if he overachieves it here, then he'll be loved. And I think we've got not as strong as a squad as we did last time out, but I do believe we've got a better manager. So I do believe we've got a better chance getting promoted than we did last time in the Championship. Of course, we succeeded at Wembley getting promoted, in the playoff final. But yeah. So yeah, a lot of stuff has happened. This is but I'm excited about the appointment of Wolf. Still very excited about it. I think he's going to be a top manager, and I just believe in him. I know what it is, but it's been a long time since I've seen a Saints manager been appointed and gone, yeah, I really like that. But I mean, the last one was Ralph. Obviously, Ralph was there for a long time, but Martin and Jurich, I was never keen on. Yeah, so that's obviously happened, but we go on to Wrexham. So we've got first game of the season. There's a lot of, because new manager, there's a lot of 50-50s about selection. There's a lot of talk around Dibbling leaving, and there's also a lot of talk about a youngster, Jay Robinson, who I think has got good potential. And I believe that he should probably be in and out the team. Not completely in and out, but don't start him every single game because he's even younger than Tyler, So, but I would start both of them for the first game as long as Dibbling still wants to play. If he's got his mind at Everton, then there is no point. But if he hasn't, then I would say, yeah, start him. Start them both on the wing, and I would start Itra front. But I wouldn't mind if either of them was replaced with Armstrong, because although, yeah, well, you say, oh, very disappointing last year. Well, that's what we expected. That's what I expected. Yeah, he failed at West Brom a bit, but I certainly expected him to, kind of, in not in a way flop because it's a different league, but a lot of people are like, oh, maybe he'll bag some goals. Nah. Championship is his league, and if we keep him every time we go down, but like, if we keep him, a Championship, he'll be a good player in the Championship. Just replacing him. I think our striker options, you could argue, we definitely, in the Prem, we definitely need a better striker. But for the Championship, the likes of Cameron and Adam Armstrong is more of a winger than most people think, but he can still play there. And obviously, new signing, the American Damien Downs. But I do believe that we're in a strong position for the Championship. And even Burton Diaz, again, could argue he's more of a winger. I do think he's more of a winger. But he can still do a job up front if needs be. And now, there's a lot of talk about, yeah, we were in a stronger position last time out when Martin was appointed and Teller came back and more Prowse came back with the two big names. Now they left. Prowse played Temple Wednesday, got the assist to Adams, and Teller played our goal. Technically didn't get the goal against Wednesday because it brushed Armstrong's head, but he contributed up against Plymouth as well, scoring the first goal. So yes, they were the two big ones that we're not really having this time, but they left the Leverkusen and West Ham, so they kind of didn't really play a part. First few games helped us get off to a good start, but that's the year. These guys that are coming back will keep, or I'd like to hope we keep. Especially like Ronnie Upwards, big fan of his. Was it Peterborough? I think what he's shown at QPR has shown he can do it in the Championship. And I think we've got obviously Shay Charles coming back. If Down stays, that's two really good DMs who should be able to control the midfield in the Championship, which will be a big part. And Downs is quite a good presser, I would say. One thing Downs has got. So, obviously, with still start, he might not go from, and that's what he wants to start with. But by what he said, he's an adaptive manager, which is what, I'm not going to rub on about what Russell Martin wasn't, which was part of the problem. But you could also say Jurich didn't make us play any better and it was a different style. But I still think that we're in a solid position. Like you say, Charles Ronnie Edwards going back on loan. And I do think that, Barrett Diaz as well, I think would be real in the Championship. If Ross Stewart stays fit, him and Cameron Archwood and Damien Downs are probably rival for the starting striker spot. The two young wingers, of course, like I've already mentioned, Robinson, Dibbling. But yeah, I mean, we're in a good position. But are we in a position to win the league? No. Are we in a position to get all mags? Time will tell. We should get playoffs. I mean, you'd like to think we get playoffs, especially with the parachute players and stuff like that. The signings, look at Quasi, and Downs is, again, I think he's just going to be an okay Championship striker. But do we really need a striker at that level? No, if we're going to get one, you want him to be a good striker. From what I've seen, not necessarily a great. He's not an upgrade from what we already have, I'd say. But he is still young, so they've openly said he's a project. But so I think we're in a good position. In terms of the first home game, Wrexham. Obviously, they've got sort of I would say they've got expectations because they went back to back to back. You know, back to back from National League and League Two is probably seen, but then to do it a third time is like absolutely obscure. Like, it's just insane. But there's no way to do it a fourth time. I think they'll be safe for relegation. I do, but don't see them as being a threat to at the top. I'll say it's similar to Birmingham, although I think they'll be knocking on the door of the playoffs. I don't think they'll be quite as good. Because all the new signings, they've also got a gel. So, and that's one positive I feel about starting 11. We know the starting 11, people saying get some more signings and get some more signings. Yeah, we do. We need to sign some more players. But we know the team is relatively good. And we're a good manager. I think they can. On Jack Stevens, see a lot of people that he's not good enough, and I kind of agree. Well, yeah, I do agree, but I don't think he should be kicked out of the club. I don't think he should play as much as he should there. He's just not good enough. But he's good to have around the dressing room as a lead, in my opinion. Not as a regular starter, not as a 4 centre-back options. Who knows what's going to happen with Harlow Bellis? We've seen barely any of him in pre-season. Obviously, Ben Norris left to join Porto. And immense signings of Crosby and Downs. And apparently, Ryan Fraser has looked very strong in pre-season again. he was good the year before last. He was pretty rubbish in the Premier League. He barely featured because he just, after that red card against Leicester, I think they just went, okay. But, again, good in the Championship. One place I still think could improve, or maybe not because we've got Wellington, but I do think Ryan Manning isn't quite good enough for that. Again, he's okay for the Championship, but I still think he's a okay squad player for the Championship. And then if we get, but I like the look of Wellington, so I would start Wellington and Sugawara again. I think Sugawara was good. Right, he was good, yeah. But he started well and then sort of went off. Didn't play as much because they wanted to play Walker Peters right back, etc. But I think he could do it in the Premier League, so to have him in the Championship is another thing. And then for a Championship backup, like James Bree, again, good for the Championship. We brought them in as squad players when, well, him in as a squad player when Nathan Jones was a manager. Of course, he brought him in from Luton because they were working together, and he liked him. Again, decent for the Championship. Like for a right back Championship, when you're trying to get promoted, I wouldn't say that's a bad player, because he did well the year before last. To be fair, I think he should have started more at left back than he did, but again, good enough. But in terms of Fernandes, now if we keep Fernandes, it will literally be like a new signing. Be like, if we keep him, it will be like he'll be the best player in the Championship. He will. I don't see anyone else like going, yeah, this guy will be better than Fernandes in the Championship. I think he'll do like a Somerville. I think he'll win Championship Player of the Season if he stays. So if we keep him, that's an excellent tool to get promoted. And can get Karen out to or Damien down the goals. There's 3 good enough options for the Championship. Got the 2 youngsters, who I think, again, good for the Championship. Dibbin can do a Premier League Cup, I do believe, but maybe not Robinson yet, because, he's still very young. He's Dibbin's had a half a season experience, but he should realistically probably excel in the Championship if he's doing as well. The Premier League, he should again tear it apart. Well, not completely tear it apart, but he should do very well. And in terms of Wrexham, I'm finally going to get onto the game. So yeah, we've got Wrexham on Saturday, 12:30, I believe. It's a, I think that's the second game. Well, there's a couple of half-times. There's the second game of the Championship season. Obviously, Ipswich versus Birmingham on Friday night. I think it'll be interesting. I think Ipswich are going to talk about anyway. We're not talking about Championship in general. We're talking about Saints. So in terms of Saturday, it does also, I think, depend on what lineup we go for. I think lineup will be a big thing, because he's obviously going to try out a few things in pre-season, as every manager was, especially if you're new. But the good thing is, we have at least done our business pretty early, so they've bedded in. They've had a good amount of pre-season. There's also talk about Moses Sesse as well. He's been doing well, but yeah, he's and Matt Saki. I've not barely seen him involved in pre-season, but again, he might just be good enough for the Championship. Bit of creative belief, which I did kind of wish we kept Alana, because in the Championship, see, in the Prem, he was probably one of our better players, to be honest, but he couldn't really get around it. He couldn't really press like Juric, or still would want him to. But having that creative spark of a bench, especially if Fernandes leaves, we would completely lose that from the shining light last year. I would say he was one of the best buys we've done in a while. And if we can keep him, because he's well enough, good enough for the Premier League, he's I think very similar to Somerville. Although Somerville moved to West Ham hasn't really worked out for him. But yeah, if we keep him, that'll be huge. In terms of Wrexham, they've made obviously a lot of transfer business, but like I said, I think it depends a bit on the starting lineup. If we start the likes of Sugawara, if we start Fernandes, if we start Dibbling or Robinson or And I'm interested to go who does go up front. Because we've obviously, like I've touched on before, we've got many options. But my prediction, my prediction will be, I reckon 3-1. Because, especially because we're at home. So, like we said, we should hope to make St Mary's good this year. But it's going to be hard to, if we go off to a bad start, I think, if we go off to a bad start, it's going to be a bit, especially after last season. But we got off to a good start, and I think all of a sudden the belief is there that we get pro. I think many people believe. Right? Also, we've barely seen anything of, like, so we've seen a very fair few players, so Del Rebo and well, yeah, like such hard Bellis and stuff. So but it does depend on the sideline. But I think we should be too good for them. I think they'll be probably, like, I don't know, between like the 12 to 16th area or something. Just around that, nicely safe. Not quite there for the pass, but especially the signs of like Connor Cody and I could name basically all signs of them, but it would take like ages. But so I do believe they're in these decent situations, but at home, they're better than. I will be interested who goes up front. I think it's hard to like. I don't know. It's just I still think we got good enough squad. And if we start, it's key to start well. Obviously, with the big game, the Portsmouth game at home on the 14th, we also want to start well because we don't want to give them a chance of beating us. We should. Again, I would say Wrexham will be a tougher game than the lot will, or probably about the same. But so if we beat them, get off to a nice start, and just win our first couple. Was it 2 games you got before that game? But I'm not completely sure. But obviously, because we got Northampton in the cup, so it's down to we've got a good enough squad. I think down to picks starts on Saturday, and it's kind of it's kind of, like I said, down to his picks, and starting 11 and the bench. Who you think can kind of make a difference if Fernandez is available or he's still ill? But I'm not sure how much of that is true. Or if he picks Dibbling, or his mind somewhere else, or if he gives Robinson the start, and if there's a lot of talk of Ryan Fraser starting, which again I think you've good enough, like I've already said. So I think picked the right combination. We shouldn't have to play our skin at home as well. We just get a solid start, and fingers crossed we can beat them. So I'm relatively confident, but it's always first game of the season, new manager. Not that I don't believe in the manager, like I've already said, but you never know. Wrexham will be on a high after getting promoted again, so it won't be an easy challenge, but it should be, be an interesting game, I think. And for today's preview, so I think my score prediction is 3-1, and hopefully, fingers crossed we can get the win on Saturday. Alright, sorry I haven't uploaded in a long time. This has not been said, not too much to upload about, but hopefully the season could be better and we can gain promotion back to where we belong. Alright, catch you in the next one.